Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So, who uses G Treasury? That has to be one of the first questions anyone asks. We want to know how much value is flowing through G Treasury, which we sort of discussed yesterday, which is trillions of dollars. All right, that's one. So that's definitely an important piece of information. Because it will most certainly have an impact on XRP. They're going to institute the whole stablecoin thing. Stablecoins, as you've seen, are highly problematic, but they need the bridge currency aspect. They need the liquidity, etc. Obviously, XRP provides all of that. You see the geopolitical tension, so they're going to definitely need the bridge currency aspect, and they're going to need a neutral platform. So that's one aspect. Then on top of that, I'm quite sure that as Ripple is acquiring these companies, they're looking at those client lists, or at least they're focusing on those client lists before the deal is even signed. Because those clients, you also have there is a high possibility of working with those clients, some of which Google has already rubbed shoulders with, to be fair. Now, that client list is not public, but because these companies have to put out documents and, articles are going to be written about them, we can find out some of the companies that work with these institutions that Bankcoin companies are combining with, are acquiring. And so listen to this, right? Who uses G Treasury? Of course, while there is no definitive list, G Treasury services a wide array of very large global enterprises. Publicly referenced examples and sources that track technology use show that their client base includes Google, Palo Alto Networks, Wipro Limited, Accenture PLC, Ernst & Young Global Limited, Subway, Boston Scientific. That's just a few. That's just a few. And of course, all of these are highly, highly valuable companies, just strategically speaking. I'm not even just talking about the capital flowing through them. But right now, what I'm seeing with the Bankcoin companies, they're being strategic. They're weaving their way deeper and deeper into the system. So when it's time, there is nothing that can stop them from taking that bank money. Now, recently, and I don't know how much of the videos everyone has watched recently, but did you see the one video, maybe a video or two back, within those last like 2 or 3, where they literally were telling people about the intra-bank payment problems? Did you see where they were saying that there was a liquidity problem with a particular central bank? And it's not just that one. That's just the one where they're letting the information come out a little bit because they're getting pressured. And it seems that some internal entities or individuals have turned on them. Hence why that particular central bank has been under immense scrutiny, even having its independence, quote unquote, never been independent, never been independent. But having that outwardly questioned is profound. Because usually people do not, that's not something that goes mainstream typically. So then we have to ask what's going on in the banking system, the financial system overall. I really shouldn't say the banking system, but just the overall financial system. There is a problem. So what the Bankcoin companies are doing they're getting in position strategically. You need global reach. Okay, we're tapped in with these variety of companies that are going to need this and already move some information. They can move it across our networks. You need liquidity. We have a solution for that. And it doesn't matter who it is. Central banks, you have a problem with liquidity, we have a solution. Commercial banks, we have a solution. NBFIs, non-banking financial institutions, we have a solution. Are you a government? We have a solution for you. You see how they're weaving their way on every level. This is very strategic. And then because they did lobbying, they were the biggest lobbyer for years. I don't know if that still stands. But because they lobbied so much, they have a multitude of politicians in their back pocket. That's why it doesn't matter now that they're getting this pushback on the banking aspect, the banking license and getting access to a particular type of Fed account, which would give them more access to the internals of the banking system that they currently don't have. It doesn't even matter because it's going forward anyway. So although we're hearing the complaints of some of the banks, not all of them, because a lot of them are already on board with the new financial system. They understand they're going to take advantage of it. But you have a few that we're hearing from. It doesn't make a difference. They're kicking and screaming because they're frustrated that this new kid on the block, the new financial system, XRP, HBAR, Chainlink, Stellar, Algorand, etc., on and on, ad infinitum. Really not ad infinitum because it's only a little bit, right? But I like to use that word anyway. I like to use that phrase anyway. It just feels good. Ad infinitum makes you feel powerful. But anyway, somebody else out there's like, Mick, come on, man. Are you serious right now? Yeah, I like to have fun. I'm just different. If I wasn't different, then there would be no reason. If I didn't think differently, behave differently, walk differently than everybody else, there would be no reason for anyone to find something special about me or value. So you should always just be you. So anyway, be unique, be special. So they're strategically placing themselves. Okay, so now we got to the political aspect. So it doesn't even matter because now those same entities have been not only pushing the technology with legislation, they've been someone's accumulating a whole lot of bank coins and Bitcoin. Who? When they've manipulated the system, which is, we've been seeing that a lot lately, if the catalyst, the causes are not gone, not negated, right? And the so-called catalysts that they're putting out there are too weak to negate the substantial causes that are the reasoning behind everything skyrocketing over the last year and a half, however long it's been since the bloody bear market, then that tells you something is wrong. Let me paint a clearer picture if I can. I'm very strong, right? I'm very strong. If someone who doesn't appear to be so strong sits down with me, we're about to arm wrestle, right? And they just smash me, just boom. Just what do they call it? They flash me. That's what's called an arm wrestle. I think flash when you pin somebody very quickly. And they just flash me, but they don't have a muscle in their body. They're 140 pounds, maybe. No offense to anybody 140 pounds. I'm just saying, I'm trying to paint a picture of someone who's their weight is lighter, their muscle is lighter, okay? And they just flash pin me. Something's wrong, folks. Something is wrong. Either I'm throwing the match or that person's on a whole lot of substances. You get what I'm saying? Either way, you should question that and say, wait, that's not right. You shouldn't just accept it like, yeah, Mick just lost. That's just the way it is. No. And so it's the same thing with what's going on now. You see Bitcoin's price dropped, which is still showing resilience. It was at $107,000 last time I saw. So, and these things are going to differ. Last time they were accumulating massive amounts of Bitcoin. I believe they're going to do that again. And you'll see that price pop back up, but that's not financial advice, just my humble opinion. And now you see a little bit more of that going on. They're really trying to put that pressure on the bank coins so they can acquire more of that. Meanwhile, they're both super hot. You see how this happened here? Do you believe that the companies, there's 1,000 of them, 1,000 clients of G Treasury. You believe they don't know Ripple's holding a ton of XRP? You believe they don't know XRP is going to be used in interbank payments, cross-border payments, B2B, payroll, that they're working with a cadre of central banks? Of course they do, bro. 1,000 clients. Folks, they're doing treasuries all over the place. G Treasury. You have a myriad of companies around the world doing treasuries all over the place. Brad Garlinghouse, you got to put the pieces together. Brad Garlinghouse was just in New York City. Let me be excited for a moment. Somebody out there like, calm down, Mick. Whoopsie. Whoopsie. I got that from one of my younger family members. She always says, whoopsie, whoopsie. I'm like, that just stuck in my head now. I'm like, whoopsie, when something happens. I'm taking it. I'm taking that phrase. But anyway, yeah, let me be excited just once in a while. Because this is exciting times. We don't get this often, bro. We went through the bloody bear market. Sometimes it was super boring, all right? I'm going to max out this good time period. But anyway, where did we leave off, folks? You're distracting me. You got a lot to say. I'm not, no disrespect. You got a lot to say. You think they don't know all of that? So yeah, the cadre of companies, they're doing XRP treasury. So Brad Garlinghouse was in New York talking to Wall Street companies, of which, we're just not going to name them. We're going to let you know we're talking to them. We're going to release a few quotes, but we're not going to let you know whom we're speaking to. Interesting. Meanwhile, BlackRock was just there. But you would want me to believe there's no connection, even though BlackRock showed an outwards display of support to Ripple. Folks, they're going deep. So it just happens they do this outward display of support for Ripple, coming to their event, etc. And I'm supposed to believe, but I'm not going to, that they haven't had deeper discussions before that time. BlackRock then goes to NYC and says, hey, in a multitude of articles and statements, I beg your pardon, a little air in my chest. We're attempting to get more companies into crypto. And we know what they're talking about. What crypto are they trying to get them into? Obviously, it's not meme coins. It's going to be Bitcoin, XRP, Solana, the same list that they put out. What was the list they put out for the digital asset treasury? Or what they call it? The United States. What do they call that? The digital asset stockpile. There we go. I remember. I got some sleep, so my mind is starting. Watch, over these next few days as I get rest, my mind is going to be sharp, much more sharp than the last two videos. Although I was cooking in those videos as well, in my humble opinion. All right, somebody out there might be like, "Well, Mick, I don't know about that cooking stuff." That's okay. That's okay. I feel like I was cooking. I'm going to do my best every single time. That's how I was raised, and I don't go against the substratum that was set by my father or my mother. I don't. So if they say, Mick, give your best every single time, that's what's going to happen. If they say, Mick, go do this, that's exactly what I'm going to do. So that's the path I've been set on. That's the path that I'm on. That's it. No, that's it. Oh, Mick, you always listen to what your parents told you when you were younger. Those things are so concrete. Those teachings are so concrete. There's no reason to go against them. And yes, I do. Same way with when there was a problem. Hey, listen, am I intellectual? Yes. Am I also a warrior? Yes. My father said there's a problem down here with this individual. I have to go handle business. Guess what? I did. I don't question that. He said, go get him. I go get him. Yeah, that's how it is. So you think I just wrestle and do boxing and martial arts? So no, I don't question that. All right. So now you have a little bit of my mentality. Let's get back to this Bankcoin money. So all of this is being orchestrated. And now you're going through this conditioning, this manipulation, etc. So now let's scroll down here. Let's scroll down. We're just flowing here, but we're brainstorming. This is how we're onto something here. So financial value, according to recent official statements from G Treasury and its investors, the platform manages financial activity at a truly stratospheric level. Total annual value, we went over this the other day, G Treasury's platform powers trillions of dollars. How many trillions does Ripple have to be involved in, XRP have to be involved in, before people start admitting it's going to probably go much higher than $10, $15? I think that's quite easy at some point, but that's just my humble opinion. Doesn't mean you have to agree with me. I don't speak for you. I speak for me. For myself, for myself. But that's how I feel. Like here's the kicker. They're doing a great job. They're doing a very good job of going out there, bringing in partnerships, shaking hands, rubbing shoulders with people. And later on, you see a partnership pop up, conducting themselves well in the media to maintain that respect aspect, lobbying, taking meetings. They've been taking a lot of meetings lately. Good. So that momentum should be expected to continue unless there is a greater catalyst that comes in and negates that or subrates that. I'm going to use the word subrate. Why not? It's the same thing. Negation, subrate, same thing. That subrates that. Right? So let's keep going here. So total customers, here you go. They serve over 1,000 customers across 160 plus countries. That's strategic, folks. So they're connected to the custodying company that they acquired that serves a multitude of countries. Now they're connected to this treasury company that serves a multitude of countries globally. They themselves, the XRPL and RippleNet and all their different products, XRP, serve the global system, interbank payments, B2B, etc., cross-border. You don't see the world domination coming. So they're doing this, putting together this massive global network. What Ripple is doing, in my humble opinion, and we'll see if they succeed, that's up to them. I don't know them. I don't have a connection with them whatsoever. But I know what I see. All right. What they're attempting to do, tell me if I'm wrong. It appears they're trying to get into almost a central bank-like position. I would say akin to the IMF, but let's go here. I want to define that real quick. Let's go to google.com. Is the IMF, I have it as my default search engine, so I could just type it in, right? Is the IMF considered a central bank? I just want to know that because sometimes with technicalities based on what they do. See, that's what I thought. So it says here, no, the IMF is not a central bank, but that's what they're akin to me. It says it is an international organization that works with member countries to ensure global economic stability. Is there a nomenclature for this? It says, while central bank, that's what I'm asking, like, what is it considered to be? So they have an entire sentence. No, one word, one nomenclature. It says, while central banks are the national monetary authorities of a country, the IMF's role is to provide policy advice, technical assistance, and financial support. That's key, because we already see Ripple doing lending. They're like a more efficient, much more global, more powerful IMF. The only thing they don't have is that body of time and all the different connections of the IMF, which rapidly they're going to be approaching. Am I wrong? I think that's what they're trying to do. SDR, think about it. Years ago, I released a video. It's still up. Look at the timestamp of when that was released. I went through a multitude of documents, as I always do, exposing the similarities of how the IMF was formed versus Ripple. It's very similar. Very similar. Okay? And so you have SDRs. They lend those out. XRP. Ripple's lending XRP out. Folks, I'm telling you. And if that occurs, unlike the IMF, with XRP, a lot of people, well, I won't say a lot. There's only a little bit of us left, right, of XRP holders. And I think there will be much less in the future. Most people are going to sell. They're going to sell. I don't think they're going to see past $10. And that's to each his own. I'm not saying telling people to hold past $10. I don't know their situation. I don't know them. But I'm just stating what I believe. I don't believe most of them are going to be into XRP after $10. And thus, I believe at that point where retail holders of XRP dwindle, that is the perfect opportunity for when all of these companies that are building treasuries can give the okay to the mainstream media to run that price up. And it wouldn't take a lot. It would not take a lot. Most companies are not involved just yet, right? But if you get the big companies involved first, which is the same thing you're seeing the archetype of this with Bitcoin. Look at what they're doing with Bitcoin. Big companies get in first, and then they unleash the mainstream media, which causes all the small and medium-sized companies globally to go into a frenzy because they want some of that free money. And for a while, it will seem that way, that it's free money, because the price will skyrocket, only for them to get sold on by the big companies. Big companies know what they're doing, but nonetheless, it will add to that skyrocketing of XRP price, Bitcoin price, Chainlink, etc. It will add to that. I think that's what they're getting in position for. But you do need that positioning first, that global positioning, having politicians in your back pocket, or, to be close with them. Let me be a little bit more respectful. To be close with them. You're close with a lot of central bank heads. You've helped them over the years. They even helped the IMF. I think that's what they're positioning themselves for. The greatest explosion in price of all time. I think that's what we're looking at in a multitude of these these bank coins, but in particular, XRP is right there at the forefront. And then you have your HBARs, you have your Chainlink, Solanas, XLMs, Algorands, your XDCs, which is a very interesting thing because they keep it quiet. There's a few. I don't have time to list them all. let's go to a little bit of Bitcoin news here. Okay. There's so much I want to talk about with this G Treasury thing. I didn't get through all of it because I had some thoughts. I'm a person. Some people want you to be a robot. They're like, no, just talk about this stuff straight through. Don't give any thoughts. That's wild to think such a thing. I'm just going by comments that I read. All right. So now let's scroll down here. I want to get this little piece. Let me just get this little piece and then we'll get to that Bitcoin news. Don't worry. I have gold news as well. I don't know. We'll get there. So the strategic opportunities for Ripple born out of this would be stablecoin liquidity, obviously, and embed the use of Ripple RLUSD and other compliant stablecoins for instant cross-border payments and settlements. That's going to be highly limited. Even Europe is going to limit dollar-based stablecoins. So how far does that go? Obviously, XRP does the body of that heavy lifting. There's no way around it. No way around it. Even Europe is limiting dollar-based stablecoins. So then if you send something over there, the RLUSD will probably have to feed into the bridge currency XRP. It doesn't matter if let's say if it hit XRP for half a second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds, it doesn't matter if it's consistent. What's a half a second plus a half a second plus a half a second ad infinitum? That's a lot of time. That definitely affects XRP's price. I think logically speaking, 100%. And then now multiply that across billions of transactions, maybe even trillions. Of course, this is going into the future when everything's mass adopted, and across thousands upon thousands of companies using that very same thing that and putting that very aspect of XRP price to use. That price goes through the galaxy. You might disagree. You could disagree. You don't have to agree. I'm not here to force anyone to do anything. I'm not that kind of person. I'm pretty relaxed. All right. Now, so yeah, XRP's in. If they want stable coins to play, XRP's in the game. And then another good question is what other liquidity tokens, because there's a couple of other liquidity tokens that are bank coins that may be utilized as well, that are going to explode because of this aspect. But shh, everyone's keeping quiet on that. Unbelievably so. But let's continue on here. Tokenized assets allow treasurers to manage tokenized deposits. We're hearing a lot about that, especially from the Bank of England, who is tight with Ripple. They even said, hey, listen, guys, Bank of England, don't use stable coins. Just tokenize the value outright. Really? Really? Oh, we're going to eat. Yeah. XRP and quant holders. If that's the case, we're going to eat. You need the liquidity. You need to move that value globally, right? There's investors, there's purchasers all over the globe. How do you move that value? With the increased fragmentation and liquidity problem, massive liquidity problems. So, but it contains, so tokenized deposits or other tokenized real world assets alongside traditional cash, unlocking trapped and idle and trapped capital. We talked about that the other day. Look at all these different ways that XRP can be utilized. Continuous liquidity. Once again, I want to posit the idea that banks will use XRP on their own. This is why, and maybe I shouldn't say just banks, large financial institutions. That's why they're gathering together their treasuries. They plan a full scale. In my humble opinion, I think it's highly possible. It's not the only possibility. I think one of the great possibilities is they're looking to do a hostile takeover of XRP at some point. I think it'll be super easy, very, very easy, because people are easily panicked and they easily sell their things, to each his own. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm saying it's something that definitely is possible. They'll sell quickly, easily, and then they'll take over that XRP and use it how they please. And they don't need Ripple. They've learned a lot from Ripple. Ripple set them up in that way. They don't need Ripple. They can build on XRP. They've learned how. But I could be wrong on that. I don't think I am, but I'm just, like I said, that's one possibility. All right, so now let's go to a little bit of Bitcoin news, okay? I think Bitcoin is looking strong again. This is strength as well. We saw resilience around $112,000 to $114,000. We're seeing resilience here in resistance, not resistance in the way that typically is said. How could I use a different word? We're seeing strength here at $107,250. Not so bad at all. Remember when Bitcoin was $20,000? Remember that? 30,000, 40,000, 50 is nowhere near those prices. We're looking really, really good, really strong, despite the manipulations. But it says here, this article is titled Bitcoin Technical Forecast, Key Reversal or Breakdown. Right. I think you're going to see Bitcoin pop up again. If what we saw was indeed manipulation, there's going to be a lot of buying at some point. In the next few weeks, a lot of buying, you're going to see that price pop right back up again. Despite, look at the reaction of mainstream media. Once again, they were saying the sky was burning and sowing the seeds of drama everywhere. But Bitcoin is only $107,000. You don't think that's a little suspicious? They want that Bitcoin, and they're getting it. They're having their way. Let's continue here. So it says Bitcoin's price action has turned lively again. Right. With the cryptocurrency staging a sharp intraday rebound after sliding to fresh lows earlier in the session. The move came alongside a broader risk recovery across equities, helped in part by improved market sentiment. Really? It's flabbergasting, these weak catalysts they're giving. And I humbly and I respectfully just disagree that these are the reasons why they're being used as a smokescreen. These are not, in my opinion, the reasons why Bitcoin going up and down. It's manipulation. But let's keep going. So I guess the U.S. made some comments toward China. Were they positive? I'm supposing that's what they're trying to allude to here. Although, why wouldn't they just say that? They just say it was sentiment following U.S. comments on China. Were they positive? I wouldn't know. I don't keep up with politics. I have a lot of things going on in my life. I just don't. It's just the way that it is, folks. There's still the technical picture remains on a knife's edge as traders weigh whether this is a genuine reversal or merely a dead cat bounce. Are the strong catalysts still there? Do large asset managers still want Bitcoin? And of course, they're going to sell at some point. That's what they do. They have to keep their clients happy. So let's negate that. Are the strong catalysts still there? Do large asset managers want Bitcoin? Do large countries want Bitcoin? Do medium, small size companies want Bitcoin? Do retail investors want Bitcoin? Yes. So Bitcoin is still strong. What? Oh, man. Earlier in the day, Bitcoin broke below a key support level at $107,250, which had acted as a floor on at least 3 previous occasions, which means that's resilience. That breakdown triggered a wave of liquidations. Oh, I'm shaking in my boots. Flushing out weaker long positions and sending Bitcoin tumbling. It's tumbling now, folks. It's not a little bit, it's a tumble. Dramatic. They sprinkle that drama on top. Tumbling to around $103,500. That's all this dramatic language is nescient, in my humble opinion. Before the bulls managed to step in. Get them, bulls. Get them, bulls. Right. That's what I'm talking about. Folks, they can't stop this value explosion, this massive money run up that's about to occur. They can't stop it. It's inevitable. It's inexorable. Yeah, there's a word. There goes your word of the day. Inexorable. I know it's not a. You want a better word? Give me a better word. You want a better word? Okay. I'll give you a better word of the day. Hopefully it's one you're not familiar with, so it can really, you'll look it up and it'll stick with you. So inexorable is not good enough. Pulchritudinous. That means beautiful. This is a pulchritudinous situation. Oh, I like that word, pulchritudinous. You can feel power out that word. Pulchritudinous. All right. So now let's continue on now that we've gotten the word of the day out of the way, and I have satisfied your curiosities for a better word than inexorable. It says here, if Bitcoin can reclaim and close decisively above $107,250, it could set up a powerful bullish reversal. Such a move would form a hammer-like candle on the daily chart, a pattern that often signals exhaustion in selling pressure. Yes. Oh, man, this has been I'm so appreciative of this time period. I've been enjoying this research run. It's been fun. So let's keep going. So selling pressure, exhaustion in selling pressure, and potential for a trend change. What makes this setup even more compelling is its proximity to the 200-day moving average, a widely watched gauge of long-term trend momentum. Folks, at some point, it's going to explode. Most people are not prepared for it. They're not. That's you don't, once more, you do not have to agree with me. This is my thoughts. They're not prepared. They don't believe. They don't have to either. But then don't complain later. Gold is going higher, despite, of course, there's going to be some profit taking. That always happens. That's not something major in my humble opinion, not financial advice. Gold is going to explode. Silver is going to go much higher. I said that years ago, and then we saw that come to fruition recently. Bitcoin's going to explode. XRP and the top bank coins are going to explode at some point in the next few years. I don't know when exactly. I just know potentiality when I see it. So Bitcoin is looking good in my humble opinion. And we shall see in a few weeks if that price pops back up. Then it tells us a lot. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. I almost forgot my outro. I know what I'm going to do with it. So until, I almost forgot. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.